The overnight vault count had been perfect for 19 years. Until tonight, Frank Mercer's gloved hands moved over the $100 stacks, but the numbers didn't match.
10,000 over. That can't be right. Run it again. Linda, get down here. We've got a problem.
The count was sacred. Every bill, every strap, every dime was tracked. An overage of $100 meant a full internal investigation. 10,000 meant termination.
Explain. Now.
I've counted 3 times. The manifest says one number, the cash says another. Exactly 10K over.
Linda Vasquez, the head of cage compliance, had a reputation for cutting jobs without flinching. She picked up the phone and initiated a full audit. Frank's badge felt heavier. In 19 years, he'd never been under investigation.
This can't be happening. I've counted right for 19 years, but the numbers don't lie, and neither does the camera.
The internal audit found nothing. No tally errors, no missing manifests. The procedure was flawless, but the 10,000 was still there.
He had counted it himself. 3 times. The overage was real, and that made it worse than a mistake.
The next overnight shift, Frank's hands hesitated above the table before he started the count. He already felt it coming.
Again, 10,000 over. Exactly.
He called Linda before the report even printed. She arrived fast, her suspicion unhidden.
This isn't possible, Frank. Either you are making the same error 2 weeks in a row, or you are not telling me something.
I ran it 5 times, Linda. 5. The cash is physically here. I don't know where it's coming from.
Word spread. Other cashiers avoided his eyes. Anthony Cross, a veteran of the cage, just watched.
They think I planted it. 19 years, spotless count. And now they look at me like a thief. And the worst part, I can't prove I didn't.
By the 4th week, the overage had become a grim ritual. Frank counted, and the extra 10,000 appeared on the table as if summoned.
I can't stop it. Can't explain it. The cash just appears, as if the vault itself wills it.
Linda stood over the surveillance monitors, her patience gone. She demanded every angle, every frame of footage.
I don't care how long it takes. Someone is putting that money here. Find me the proof.
The initial review looped through empty hours of humming fluorescence. No one entered the vault between counts.
But the money is here. Either the cameras are useless or something impossible is happening.
Compliance circled back to Frank without video evidence. The only logical suspect was him.
I am telling you, Linda, I didn't touch it. I don't know how this is happening.
Your word isn't enough. The numbers say someone is responsible, and you are the only one with access.
19 years of trust, gone in 4 weeks. Trapped in a count I can't control.
At the 6-week mark, a junior compliance analyst slowing down the overnight feed froze the frame on something that shouldn't exist. A figure, male, draped in a suit that looked decades out of fashion, stood at the counting table. Frank was not in the room.
That's not possible. I set the lock myself. No one else has the code.
Enhance it. I want every detail of his face.
The footage was grainy, but the man's calm movements were unmistakable. He placed a wrapped bundle of $100 stacks on the table, then turned away, and then he walked directly through the solid concrete wall and vanished from the screen.
That's a dead man's walk, Linda. No one moves like that.
Don't call it that. It's a glitch, a reflection. Nothing walks through walls.
But the analysts ran the feed backward and forward, and the figure moved with weight and purpose, leaving the money behind.
This isn't theft. It's a delivery. And the person making it hasn't breathed in decades.
Linda refused to accept the impossible. She brought in the casino's top security technicians to examine the digital feed for tampering.
Find me a flaw, a splice, a digital artifact, any sign this footage was manipulated.
The techs worked for days. They found zero evidence of editing. The man in the gray suit was physically absent from every other camera in the building. Yet each Thursday night, the overage recurred. 7 weeks, 70,000. 880. Frank kept a tally in his logbook, the numbers becoming a sentence.
9 weeks now. $90,000, that doesn't belong here. But it arrives like clockwork.
Linda cornered Frank in the break room, her professional calm cracking. The money was real, the footage was real, but the man simply did not exist on any log.
I don't believe in ghosts, Frank, but I am running out of explanations that don't involve a dead man.
You saw the suit. Wide lapels, old cut. Nobody dresses like that. Somebody's been dead a long time and still can't leave this place.
The overages were no longer a security breach. They were a phenomenon the casino could not control and refused to name.
He comes every week, same time, same amount. Whatever debt he's paying, he's not done yet.
At the 10th week, the surveillance image finally sharpened. The figure turned toward the lens, and the face was unmistakable. Calm, unblinking, belonging to another century. Linda ordered the frame run through facial recognition. Every database the casino owned, from employees to banned guests.
Check it against everything. Employees, guests, security logs. Find me something I can explain.
The algorithm churned for less than 3 minutes before returning a match. Victor Hargrove, deceased, 1973.
He's been dead for 50 years. That can't be right.
They pulled the old guest file. A high roller and regular. He died of a heart attack at the casino in 1973.
A dead man walking through walls, leaving stacks of cash. Not a crime. Something else entirely.
Linda placed the old photograph next to the freeze frame on the monitor. The same gray suit, the same calm expression. Identical.
That's him, Linda, the ghost in the machine. 10 weeks straight he's come here, and not a single error. The question isn't who, it's why. What does a dead man need to settle after 50 years?
The casino's executive director mandated a complete information blackout. Everyone who saw the identification signed a binding non-disclosure.
This doesn't leave the room, Frank. As far as anyone outside compliance knows, the overage is just a system glitch.
A glitch worth 100,000 and climbing. They're scared of what it means, not the money.
They verified the death certificate from county files. Victor Hargrove, heart attack, October 1973, collapsed on the casino floor, a high roller and regular. Since the 60s, no family claimed his body. His marker debts were written off by the casino after probate.
Written off by them, but not by him. 50 years later, he's still playing the same table.
The overages continued. Week 11, 12. The pattern was unbreakable, and the total climbed toward a number Frank couldn't ignore. Frank spent his off hours in the casino's dusty paper archives, a sub-basement full of old guest ledgers and dealer logs. Hargrove appeared everywhere. High-stakes baccarat, private poker, enormous credit lines, and a stack of unsettled markers.
He owed the house an enormous debt, and whatever it was, he's been paying it back to the penny.
Frank dug deeper into the old marker ledgers, following Hargrove's credit line across years. One figure kept surfacing. A total owed of $130,000.
10,000 a week? 13 weeks? That's 130,000. The pattern is the debt.
He cross-checked it against the inflation-adjusted casino records. The number was exact, not an approximation.
He's not giving us money. He's settling a balance from 50 years ago. 1 week at a time.
The ghost of Victor Hargrove was literally paying back what he owed the casino, to the dollar, with interest adjusted for the half-century he'd been dead.
So the overages aren't random. They're a payment plan from beyond the grave.
But Frank had another question. Why now? Why 2022, after 49 years of silence?
The debt was written off. The casino moved on, but he didn't. He's been waiting all this time.
The math was undeniable. $10,000 times 13 weeks equaled $130,000. The final overage was scheduled to arrive in 1 week.
After next week, the debt is clean. And then what? Does he finally stop?
Late in the 12th week, Frank found Anthony alone in the vault's break room and decided to confess everything.
It's Victor Hargrove, Anthony. Died in 73, owing 130,000. That's the exact sum of the overages.
Anthony didn't flinch. He studied Frank with an unreadable expression, as if he had been waiting for this. He moved to a locked drawer and produced a brass key without a word. From the drawer, he pulled a thick leather ledger, its cover cracked, spine worn smooth.
The cage has kept this since 1948. It records the debts not paid in cash by the living.
Not the living. So he's not the first. There are others.
He opened to a page filled with names, dates, amounts, some marked settled in red. 37 entries.
37 dead patrons settling what they owed from beyond. How many paid with cash? And what did the others use?
Some left information, tips that made the house millions. Others, their descendants, work here, repaying through lifetimes.
Repaid through lifetimes. Like a generational debt. That's why some employees never leave.
Anthony turned the page, his finger tracing the names. Each entry a story, a transaction from beyond the grave. Frank's eyes stopped on the entry for Victor Hargrove. It was marked settled in red ink, the same as the others.
So this is it. Hargrove's debt is closed. The casino accepts it.
The house has accepted stranger payments, and it never looks too deep into where the money comes from.
Stranger payments. The casino is built on unsettled scores, and the dead keep the books balanced.
Anthony closed the ledger, his expression unreadable. Frank understood the unspoken rule: never ask too many questions.
This ledger holds the names of the dead, and maybe the living as well. I don't want to know if my name is in it.
He handed the ledger back, its weight heavier than before. The secret was now his to keep.
You said descendants work here. Are any of them in the cage right now, Anthony?
Some of us have been here a very long time, longer than you might think.
A long silence followed. The hum of the fluorescent lights, the only sound in the vast, empty vault.
He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it. But the meaning was unmistakable to Frank.
Frank looked at Anthony's hands, weathered and still, the same hands that had locked that drawer for decades without a word.
He's one of them, paying off some old debt with his whole career, and he's not the only one.
It's better not to ask which ones. Some things are left alone for a reason, Frank.
Better not to know if I am one of them. The answer would change nothing and everything.
Frank didn't ask another question. He understood the boundary was as solid and cold as the vault walls themselves. The ledger was locked away. The question of lineage hung unanswered in the amber light. The 12th overage arrived like the others, but this time the stack felt heavier. The count was perfect, except for the extra 10,000.
He was more visible on the footage this week. Almost solid, like he's gathering strength for the final payment.
The surveillance monitor flickered, the ghost's gray suit lingering on the screen a moment longer before fading. The vault light buzzed erratically.
I heard a whisper tonight, right after the count. Not a word, just a sound like someone exhaling against the glass.
He was alone, but the vault felt occupied. The air pressed in, heavy and cold, as if the dead man stood just behind him.
1 more week, and the debt is settled. 130,000, paid in full. But what then? Does he just stop?
The next shift was the last. Frank marked the calendar, his pen scratching the final week into the circled date.
The flickering light feels like a heartbeat now. Every pulse, a countdown. The ghost is almost done, but I'm not sure I am.
The vault's silence was absolute, broken only by the distant hum of the casino floor. But Frank heard something else, a faint, rhythmic tapping.
3 taps, then silence, like a heartbeat, like a door closing. The 13th week starts in 12 hours.
At 3:17 a.m., the surveillance feed flickered. Frank leaned closer to the monitor, and Victor Hargrove stepped out of the concrete wall like smoke through a keyhole.
Always the same gray suit, the same unhurried calm. He doesn't look at me, only at the table. Only at the table.
Hargrove placed the final $10,000 bundle on the cold metal counting table. The straps were tight, the bills crisp and impossible. Then, for the first time in 13 weeks, He turned his head and faced the camera directly. The expression was not anger or sorrow, only patience.
Like a man who's waited half a century and isn't in a hurry anymore.
The ghost didn't walk through the wall this time. He simply dissolved, fading into the static of the feed until the monitor showed only an empty vault.
He's gone. The count is over. After 13 weeks, it's finally done.
Frank walked to the table and counted the cash. The tally was exact. $130,000 more than the manifest.
The numbers don't lie. Victor Hargrove's debt is settled. The ledger will mark him paid in full, but a settled debt doesn't always mean a forgotten one. Some scores are carved deep enough to outlast the grave.
Linda filed the report with a single line. Unexplained overage resolved. The case was closed, but Frank's mind remained open and restless. Days later, Anthony found him alone at the counting table. He set the leather ledger down without a sound.
You could look. The ledger doesn't judge.
The air thickened. Frank's hand trembled slightly as he stared at the cracked leather cover.
He's giving me permission to know the truth. Or is he warning me not to?
The leather was warm, as if it had been held all night. Frank's fingers rested on the embossed spine.
Everything I believed about my life could change with one page.
His hand hovered, not yet ready to lift the cover. The hum of the vault seemed to grow louder.
If I look, I might find my own name in there, or worse.
He sat motionless, the ledger before him, the weight of the unknown pressing down.
My father said the casino was a good place. Steady. He never mentioned why he knew.
He'd never questioned how easily the job came, how naturally the vault's routines settled into his bones.
Maybe I've been paying a debt I never knew existed, with every counted strap and squared balance.
His trembling fingers lifted the cover. The yellowed pages exhaled dust and old ink. The names swam before his eyes. But he refused to focus. He didn't let a single letter form into recognition. Before his gaze could betray him, he forced the cover shut with a flat palm.
I don't want to know. Not now, not ever.
The decision was a door closing inside him, and he felt the lock click into place.
Some debts are meant to stay buried. Some chains you stop noticing after a while.
He slid the ledger back toward the center of the table. A weight lifted and replaced by another, heavier and cold. Anthony watched Frank slide the ledger away. He nodded once, as if he'd seen this decision made before.
Some things are better left buried, Frank. You are wise not to dig.
He picked up the ledger, its weight familiar in his weathered hands. The leather creaked softly. Anthony carried it to the locked drawer, turned the brass key, and the bolt slid home with a hard, final click.
That sound. It's the closing of a door I can never open again.
Frank felt a cold certainty settle in his chest. The certainty that his name was in that ledger. Whether he read it or not, he returned to the counting table, the familiar routine waiting. His hands moved through the stacks, but his mind stayed with the locked drawer.
The count still matters. The numbers still need to match. But everything else has changed.
He looked at the vault door, the walls, the cameras. It all felt different now, charged with a presence he couldn't see but could feel. The weight of not knowing pressed on him, heavier than the stacks of cash he counted each night. Weeks passed without an overage. The ghost of Victor Hargrove kept his distance, his debt settled. But Frank couldn't shake the feeling that the vault was never truly empty. He began watching the other employees, the pit bosses, the dealers, the janitors. How long had they worked here? How deep did their roots go?
Old Marston, the janitor who's been pushing his cart through the cage for 40 years, never takes a sick day, never talks about his family.
The casino at night felt alive in a way the daytime gloss hid. The slot machines chimed for no one, and the shadows in the service corridors seemed to shift.
How many of us are working off some forgotten marker? How many lifetimes has this place bought?
He'd catch Anthony's eye across the floor, and the older man would give a small nod, acknowledging the shared weight without a word. Frank's own shadow stretched long on the concrete, and for a moment it looked like a second figure stood beside it.
Just a trick of the light, or the other half of an unpaid balance. waiting to be settled.
He returned his focus to the count. The numbers were clean, the straps tight, everything balanced, as it always had. But now he understood that the balance was never just his. It belonged to the house, and the house kept its own ledger and lives. Late one shift, Frank found Anthony in the vault's break room, the older man sipping coffee as if he'd been waiting.
Anthony, I need to ask you something. Am I in the ledger?
Anthony lowered the coffee cup. The silence stretched long enough to be an answer in itself.
You are still here, aren't you? That's all that matters.
He didn't deny it, didn't brush it off. He just told me what I already knew.
Anthony set the cup down, the clink breaking the silence, and turned toward the door.
A lifetime. I've been paying a debt I never signed for, and I didn't even know it.
The silence of the vault closed around Frank, but it wasn't empty anymore. It was filled with centuries of unsettled accounts.
I am one of them, and I'll keep counting until the debt is done, even if I never know the name.
Frank returned to the counting table, his hands steady. The numbers were perfect, as always. The debt was being paid in more ways than he knew. In the deep hours of the night, Frank sat alone in the break room, the hum of the vault a constant companion. His mind traced back through decades.
My father worked here too, just a pit boss, but he always said the casino takes care of its own. Now I understand what he meant. This job, this vault, these numbers, they were never really mine. I am the interest on a loan I didn't know existed.
The realization was a chain and a key at the same time. He was bound to the cycle, but finally understood its shape.
I'll never know the name, the debt, the dead man who started this, but I know the payment is mine to finish.
He looked down at his hands, the same hands that had counted millions, never stealing a dime, always keeping the balance.
In the end, I am just like Hargrove, paying back what was owed, one counted stack at a time.
The fear of not knowing had been replaced by the quiet peace of accepting that some questions didn't need answers.
The ledger will stay locked, the names will stay buried, and tomorrow I'll come back to the count.
The vault waited, as it always had, and Frank walked back into its amber light, a keeper of balances seen and unseen. One night, midway through the shift, the vault light flickered once, a sharp, cold pulse, and then steadied. Frank looked up from the count. The air felt different, thicker, and near the vault door, a shape was forming. It was not Victor Hargrove. This figure was shorter, broader at the shoulders, clad in something that might have been an old dealer's uniform.
Another one already. No gray suit this time, but the same purpose. The ledgers never stop filling.
The shape paused at the threshold, as if sensing Frank's gaze. Then it turned and faded, retreating into the dark without a trace.
He didn't come for me. He came for the table. Who did you owe, old friend? The debt never ends.
Frank picked up the phone, then set it back down. He'd learned what reporting did. Complications, cover-ups, closed files that didn't close. Instead, he made a small note in his logbook. 9:47 p.m. Irregular shadow observed, and continued the count.
He'll be back next week, same time, maybe with cash, maybe just watching. That's how it starts.
The vault fell silent again, but Frank knew it wasn't empty. It never was. The cycle continued, one more name in the unseen ledger. Frank returned to the counting table, pulling a fresh stack of hundreds. The motion was automatic, rehearsed over 19 years.
Perfect. Strap after strap. The numbers align like they always do.
He recorded the total in the logbook, the pen scratching the final figure into the silent vault. His gaze drifted to the locked drawer across the room, the worn brass keyhole catching the amber light.
That drawer holds a century of names, and among them someone I owe, but I am still here, counting.
He returned his focus to the cash, bundling the hundreds into tight bricks with practiced speed.
The routine feels different now. Not a job, not a security measure. It's a right.
The vault hummed, the amber light steady and unblinking, as if the room itself was waiting.
Another ghost will come. Another debt will be settled. And I'll be here, counting until mine is done.
His hands moved through the stacks. The numbers his religion, the vault his chapel. The count continued. The shift ended. Frank rose from the counting table, his bones stiff from another night of vigilance.
Another count perfect. But the real sum never ends.
The massive steel door began its slow, grinding close, the sound echoing through the concrete chamber. For a moment, Frank's reflection lingered in the security glass, a tired ghost among the stacks.
I've been a ghost in this vault longer than I realized.
The door sealed with a heavy thud, cutting off the amber light and leaving only the hum of the fluorescents. In the silence, the locked drawer rested, guarding its century of debts. The cycle had closed for the night, but it was never truly finished. Frank walked into the neon-lit casino, the weight of the unseen ledger settling deep into his stride. The vault door waited, sealed and silent, until the next count.